It's your call with John Penny and Dwayne Long.
Hi guys, how you doing? I hope you're watching this today, and we're getting bigger numbers every week, and so this is our third week, and we're gonna do okay.
Hey, better.
What? That'd be great. That's what I've done.
Swing.
One time I was umpiring a baseball game for Kiwanis Baseball. I think you were doing it too, and this kid behind the plate was singing King Tut from Steve Martin. Buried with a donkey, he's my favorite honky, King Tut. And I was started laughing, and I could hardly call the balls and strikes because my head was just shaking. I was laughing so hard. It was a funny day. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How you doing, John?
I want to say one thing as a Cub fan.
Yes.
Today is Yadier Molina's birthday.
That's correct.
A baseball player who has caused ruin to the Cubs many games. A great, maybe the greatest catcher in the past 50 years since Johnny Bench. I think he's the greatest catcher since Johnny Bench.
Yeah, he is just phenomenal. And he not only is he a great player, he's a great human being.
Sure, but he's a very rough human being. He protects those pitchers.
Absolutely.
Somebody throws a ball a little close, and that guy starts out the pitcher's mound. He gets in between them. I mean, you don't mess with his pitchers. You don't even talk to his pitchers. You talk to him, he'll start yelling at you.
You know, they've considered Yadi to be one of those catchers who is like a manager on the field,
right?
On the field manager.
And I don't remember anybody doing this. I could be wrong, but that throw to first base when he's still kneeling on the ground, he throws that ball to first base, picks people off. I mean, it's a work of art.
You know, one of the things that they also say about Yadi is a lot of runners, good runners, are afraid to run against him because he's got a pretty proficient throw out rate. Yeah.
What's that? Well, I've said 100 good words about a Cardinal. That's all I can say.
That's the limit.
That's for me. That's the limit. Right.
I could say some good things about the Cubs.
Sure you can.
But why waste time? Yeah, okay. Hey, I brought my it's a 5-finger glove, although it's hard to tell that sometimes. But this thing was made in 1945, and it's got a number on it, 233. And I just thought I'd bring it today. And
that's
great. We're talking about equipment, some equipment, and of course the gloves have evolved.
The gloves have evolved enormously.
Yeah, so now they come in different colors.
If I'd have had this glove, man, I'd have loved this glove as playing baseball for the Kiwanis and everything. I would have loved this glove.
Yeah, and the gloves have changed so much.
Oh, look how much bigger they are.
Oh, yes, and also, they got so many different kinds of gloves now.
Right.
Back then, you just had one kind of glove, but now you've got infielder gloves. You've got gloves.
Well, you always had first baseman and catcher's mitts.
Yeah.
Well, that first baseman's mitt was so big.
Loved it.
And the kid on my baseball team, he had this just gigantic first baseman's mitt, which, I mean, it was huge. Probably too big for him to really catch the ball very well with. It was incredible. And I was a catcher for years.
Yeah, you were.
And I loved it. And I had a catcher's mitt I kept for like almost 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've had this one for a long time. That one I've had for over 40 years. I used it when I played, remember when we played at West Nichols Park in Springfield?
Sure.
And I played first base.
Yeah.
I played first base that night. I'm not the best. I learned something as a first baseman. When you stretch out to get the ball, you don't put your foot on the top of the bag.
No, I remember that game. The way it was living like Chester and Gunsmoke.
Oh, man.
It was bad.
I got spiked big time, and I learned from that experience.
Which, of course, made everybody else on the team laugh. I mean.
Yeah, those were big spikes back then.
Oh, they were.
Now they wear these synthetic
right.
Spikes a lot. But sports equipment has evolved in so many different
Oh.
areas. Tennis is one of those.
Tennis, at one time in tennis, they had the wooden rackets. There was one, maybe two people who could hit the ball 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Now the women hit the ball over 100 miles an hour.
Well, they
Not
have
knocking women here. I'm just saying that they hit the ball hard and very well. Very well. They place it right where they want to put it. I mean, I love the game of tennis. But they went from wooden rackets to aluminum to composites, and now it's just unbelievable. I love the rackets I have. I love.
Yeah, and they started evolving these rackets to where the head of them were bigger and bigger.
Right.
In fact, a company called Head developed a racket that was 20% larger,
Right.
and
Then they put a stop to it.
yeah, because it also had a 300% larger sweet spot.
They also had them longer, 2 inches longer, and they had to put a stop to that because after a while you could be in the middle of the court and reach over all the way to the other side.
Well, that gave an advantage to the people like Michael Chang, who was a player that was a little shorter, smaller than others.
Right. Very
Yeah.
fast, very fast.
Yeah.
Who loved to quote Jesus after the matches were over. He talked about Jesus and got a lot about winning and everything. It was very interesting.
Well, that's great. That's always great. I
But-
think
but-
I asked you earlier today about serving speed,
Right.
and you said that servers can get up to 120.
Oh, 130,
100 miles per
138 miles, and 138 miles is the one I know the best. One time I was in LA at a professional match, and this guy went out on his first served about 138, and the whole crowd went, "Ooh."
Yeah.
It was so cool. I mean, it was so fast. I couldn't even see it till it bounced.
Well, I know when I'm watching tennis on TV,
Mhm.
they have that clock or that mile
Right.
per hour,
Right.
and it shows some of these serves at 120, 125. Even like you said, even the women's serves are getting faster and faster.
You know,
But isn't there going to be a point when the sanctioning body, the tennis association, has to say, "Hey, we got to control these speeds a little bit"?
well, they did that at Wimbledon, which was just played this past 2 weeks.
Who won that?
Djokovic won.
Oh,
So now
Djokovic, yeah.
3 players have all got 20 slams. All Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic all got 20 slams.
Yeah, I
So they're
saw
all
that when
tied.
he won, he just went back, fell back on his back,
Yeah, might
and he
as well.
celebrated. Yeah,
But
That's great.
they slowed the grass. See, they couldn't slow the balls down very well at Wimbledon, so they slowed the grass down.
how'd they do that?
They different style of grass, a different kind of grass, cut it shorter, or no, they let it go longer, a little bit longer, like a quarter inch, and it slows the ball down. Balls on grass slide; they hit and they slide. Balls on clay tend to bounce upward, and the hard ball, on the hard courts, they just come at you.
Well, I know you see some of those balls; they look like they're skidding on the surface as opposed to bouncing on the surface.
Right.
And I guess that's why
That's
the
the
balls were
grass.
changed. Yeah.
Now, you know who hits the ball over 120 miles an hour, or did? Ned Reynolds.
Ned Reynolds, our very own Ned Reynolds.
He could hit the ball 120 miles an hour
Wow.
easily at times. I mean, he could really crack the ball.
What kind of car
it
was
was
he
usually,
driving?
it was usually out. But
Oh, is
no,
that-
no. To be a good server, it has to be in. So, but he could hit the ball, and it was fun because it was something different. Instead
Right.
of the guys baby the ball in there and stuff like that. But there's a lot of equipment that has changed. Baseball bats have changed. They're lighter, but they're also thicker in a way. And the guys are hitting 500-foot home runs. Guys that are like second basemen are hitting balls 480 feet, 450 feet. The baseballs are harder,
Yeah.
and the stitches are a little higher on the baseballs. And they got that curve rate, or whatever that's called, that
Spin rate,
spin
yeah.
rate. Now the batters are all batting 275, and their superstars making $25 million.
How many stitches are on a baseball?
104.
Wrong.
How many?
108. You were close
108.
though. You were very close.
Well, I would bite them off, and
I know you went to Reed, so
Oh, so did you.
yeah. I only went there a half a year.
That's all you went to junior high school was half a year.
But anyway, we had their baseballs have changed. And like you said,
Yeah, it's harder. They're harder. They're like a rock. And
but I love what's happening with technology in baseball.
Well, but the baseball was the perfect game. I don't know who made. I mean, I know Abner Doubleday made it up.
Yeah.
But the bases are not, and the pros. The bases are 90 feet. Okay, that is. If you watch baseball games, there's so many games and so many plays. It's like, you know,
Bang, bang,
the guy
right.
bang bang. The guy touches base and the ball gets there just a tenth of a second afterwards. Safe.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just amazing to me. The outfields, you go as far as you want and stuff like that, but the bases are like that. They're 90 feet apiece. There's 4 of them. It's just great. How baseball was made up. 60 feet 6 inches.
Yeah, for the
It's
pitchers
amazing.
now.
It's amazing how a curveball doesn't curve at 55 feet 5 inches. You know, that would be a little bit way before it got to the plate, but it curves at 60 feet
Breaks
5
there at
inches
the
or
end,
4 inches. You know, boom. I mean, it's just. I love the big game.
Well, you know, the game has changed so much, and some will argue whether it's for the better or.
Well, I don't
whether
think
or
it's
not.
for the better.
I don't think it's for the better either. But I know that, you know, for instance, you mentioned the bang bang play,
Right,
and now they have that thing called instant replay,
right.
where they can go in and check.
Which I think is good because it has changed world championships.
Yeah,
Against the Cardinals, I think the Royals won one.
maybe they did, but I know there's been a lot of technology changes in baseball. For instance, well, like I said, the instant replay.
Right.
Then you've got this thing you can see on the TV now when you watch a baseball game, that little box around the home plate.
Right.
Yeah, that is called the K zone.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can see as a viewer whether the ball is a ball or a strike. If only the umpires were able to see when they make a call that's a ball and it was really a strike.
I think, well, they're getting robot umpires in the minor leagues, and I don't doubt that it'll be in the major leagues soon.
Well, they won't have robot umpires and we'll have robot players. Then what's going to happen to the game?
What do you say to a robot to get thrown out of a game? Your mama had too much oil last night.
Another technological advance is also the Tommy John surgery. Look what that done to extend pitchers' lives.
Sure, their careers. I mean, not so much their lives.
Well, their careers, right?
If he doesn't get his arm fixed, he's going to die.
More than likely. But you know, with Tommy John, he was able to play baseball and pitch for 14 years after he had that surgery.
But you know, it makes you lay out a whole year. That's how important that surgery is, how debilitating it is. They have to lay out a whole year before they can play again.
Yeah,
before they can pitch again, I think
12 to 15 months you have to to lay off baseball.
That's a real, you know, you break a leg, you hurt your ankle. You know, how about that guy that hurt his ankle the other day at the boxing match?
Yeah, Conor McGregor.
Yeah, and I have been knocked down before more than once, and I never hurt my ankle that bad. I don't think anybody's ever hurt his ankle that bad.
Well, I think he hurt his ankle when he kicked him.
Is that when it happened when he kicked him?
He did a kick, and that broke his ankle.
Well, I'm guessing he didn't kick him though. He didn't hit him in the ribs though, or something. I mean, it was the head. Had to be the head or the elbow. I hit one time. I threw a bolo punch. Was a punch where you swing all the way underhand, like an underhand baseball pitcher.
Yeah.
and you bring your arm up like that and you hit the guy. Well, the guy moved forward and he had his elbows out. And I hit my forearm on the elbow. I almost cried in the boxing ring. That hurt so badly. I couldn't even move my arm. I just had to drop my arm and dance around and not get hit as the best I could do. And it was like 2 rounds before I could really throw a right hand anymore.
Yeah, I
mean,
started to say your right hand and your left hook were your
Right.
strongest punches. So, but then, you mentioned, the spin rate of the baseball,
right.
all this analytical stuff, which just drives me nuts. Because now, just like last night at the home run derby, they can instantly measure the distance of the ball.
Oh, I know.
It just
It's not enough just to be happy guy hit a home run. Yeah, how far was it? Oh, 550 feet. You know something? It doesn't matter if it's 1 inch or 30 yards over the field, over the fence. It's a home run.
yeah, and I really don't care if the ball travels 109 miles per hour or whatever. That makes no difference to me.
But I will tell you one thing. Dwayne Long has been my best friend for 50 years.
About 55 years.
55 years we've been friends.
Give or take a week.
Met going to a baseball team tryout. That's what we met. And one time my family is pretty poor. And our TV was broken. And Dwayne knocked on my door. I opened the door and he had a portable TV. And he plugged it in and we got to watch the All-Star game. And I wouldn't have got to see it if he hadn't come down there and stuff.
Well, we didn't have any electricity at our house. So
oh, it was one of those days.
You think you were poor.
we were poor. But
yeah.
I mean it was just this great moment of knowing of having a friendship. You know what I mean? It was just this great knowledge of the friendship I had. And I've never forgotten that.
Yeah, we've been, like you said, friends for many, many years, and we've been friends and separated in distance.
Right.
When I was in Illinois and you were in California and all that.
Illinois, Illinois,
whatever,
not Illinois.
Whatever it's called, it's got an S on the end of it.
Well, that's true.
That'd be like if your name was John Z or something like that. Or Dwayne, whatever.
But we were just friends, and we just met at the boys club and went out to eat that night to get some ice cream. Next thing I know, we were best friends, and it just went on from there.
Yeah, we actually played on the same team, but at different years.
Starting Roughnecks.
The Roughnecks. Oh yeah, great coach.
Well,
Coach Ray.
Ray.
I can't think of his last name.
I'll think of it here pretty soon. I loved him. He was my first baseball coach. And when he called me and told me I made the team, I started crying.
Yeah.
I love baseball so much. We were the Roughnecks.
We were the Roughnecks. Well, and this is why we were the Roughnecks. When I had this terrible habit. I have a lot of habits in sports.
Mostly terrible.
I boxed with my chin up.
Yes, that was true.
Well, when I played baseball, I had this habit of
stepping in the bucket,
stepping backward when a pitch would come,
which was called stepping into the bucket.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
If I wanted to step in a bucket, never mind. So anyway, Ray, the coach, he was talking to my dad at the time, and he said,
"You don't mind if your son gets a big concussion, do you?"
No, but he said, "Hey, we got to stop this kid from." So they did two things. The first thing he did was he put a roll of baseball bats behind me, so if I stepped back, I fell on my rear.
Yes.
And then the second,
which would have caused a concussion for you.
Probably would have. But the second thing he did was my dad gave him the permission that every time I stepped back, to take one of these weeping willow tree switches.
Really?
And hit me on the leg.
Ray Freeman, right?
There's something like that.
Yeah. He was a great man.
He was.
If anybody knows him, tell him Penny and Long said hello.
Anyway, but that's how I learned not to step backwards and be afraid of the pitch.
Well,
and I ended up being one of the ball players that got hit by the ball a lot.
One thing I want to say was when I saw that All-Star game. It was the All-Star game that Reggie Jackson. It was in Detroit, and he hit a baseball that hit the very top, the very, very top of Detroit baseball stadium, the Towel Tiger Stadium, and it would have gone 6 inches higher. It would have gone out of the park, which was just an incredible blast. And I never was a big Reggie Jackson fan. I didn't like that time he stepped in front of that pickoff move and the ball hit him in the leg and he went to second base against the Royals in the World Series. Or not the World Series, playoffs. But he was a great hitter at times.
Yeah, he was hit those monster home runs.
Monster home
Mr. October, they called him.
Do you remember the time that he didn't run for the ball, though, out in the outfield? He was in the outfield, right field. He didn't run, and Billy Martin came out there, was yelling screaming at him out there, and they got face-to-face and stuff.
Yeah, more than one.
It wasn't face-to-face because Reggie was about 8 inches taller.
It was more like belly button to face.
It was pretty bad, but everybody's going, don't hit him, Billy. Billy, don't hit him. Don't hit him.
Billy wasn't afraid of anybody.
No, nobody.
I mean,
I loved him. I thought he was a great second baseman, I believe, and a tough guy.
Yeah.
Do you know why the players on the Yankees could not, on the road, they could not drink in the hotel bar they were staying at?
Well, I know that he wanted to be there by himself.
Exactly. It was because that's the bar he drank at.
Right.
And he didn't want anybody else around him when he was drinking.
They could go anywhere else.
Because anywhere else in the city, you could not. I thought that was pretty. I thought that was actually very smart, because I think a lot of arguments. I've been reading about I'm writing a book about the Wild West.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many of the gunfights erupted because people were playing poker and they were drunk, not drinking, they were drunk. And they would get mad and lose their temper. Next thing you know, bullets were flying.
And that's why Billy didn't want to risk getting the argument, so he would keep his ball player away from him.
And that was smart. It keep them away from him, because he wanted to win. He wanted to win all 162 games.
Absolutely.
That's what he wanted to win. In fact, one time somebody said somebody's going to be 162-0 one year. And the other guy on the broadcast said, there's no way. And he goes, you can't say that. He goes, in baseball, there's always a way. He says it probably never will happen, but it could happen. He goes, some of those teams. And the main thing, the reason in baseball is the pitcher. Your hitters hit most of the time. If the big guys aren't hitting, it seems to me like the second baseman and the third baseman are getting hits, and the right fielder is putting balls out of the park all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger hitters are having a hard time for a couple of days, but then they start picking it back up. But the pitchers, that's why the Cubs are so far in last place right now. It's just terrible. The Cardinals aren't far in front of them.
Well, they're tied.
Are they tied?
They are tied for third place.
Third place, or third and fourth, yeah.
You got to watch the games more, John.
No, I've not. It's not baseball to me. But I just, the pitchers are the ones, and they're so important now with this spin rate and stuff like that, and getting by with stuff. And that spin rate is really, if you're using anything to make a ball break, I don't know if you remember Don Ships. Do you remember Don Ships?
Yeah, I remember Don. Great ball player.
Great ball player. He actually got picked by the Royals to play on that team, that league that they put players that weren't ready for the minors yet. He got picked to play on that. He would have got paid and stuff, but he wanted to be a musician.
Right. He was a great musician too.
And Rolling Stone magazine had Don Ships voted as one of the top bass players in the world. Rolling Stone magazine had Don Ships from Springfield, Missouri, as one of the best bass players in the world.
And that's,
he
a,
was
that's a pretty hefty
right,
acknowledgement.
and he was a great athlete, great ball player, and he struck me out one time. The third pitch hit home plate.
Yeah.
It bounced, it hit home plate.
And the umpire
I called it strike 3. And I looked at the umpire and I said, "You gotta be kidding me." And I turned to Ships and I said, "Ships, we're friends. We've been friends for 25 years. That ball hit the plate. Tell the umpire." And he was just laughing
Of
out
course
there
he
at me and
was.
stuff. It was great. He was my friend. And I like being able to say that. He was a great guy.
Hey, I know you follow the Bryson DeChambeau a little bit in golf.
Okay, golf equipment changing. Oh my Lord. The ball they have golf balls now who are made to pop up in the air, hit and land softly.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't roll far from the hole most of the time. I mean, they have these incredible clubs that we started out. Dwayne and I started out playing at the par 3 course, which is now
It's Bill and Payne Stewart,
right.
maybe.
And
used to be Oscar Bloom.
but we played there, and we were using woods on most of the holes. 90 yards. We were still hitting woods, and it was so much fun. And I got to play a lot of golf in my life because I traveled so much on comedy, and I got to go to places, and I'd call them up and go, "Hey, this is John Penny. I'm the comic over at the comedy club tonight. Want some free tickets?" "Well, yeah." I said, "How about if I play tomorrow morning for free at golf?" "Okay."
Hey,
So-
that worked out well for
yeah,
you.
it worked
so-
out. Yeah, it
Well,
wasn't
you know,
bad.
the athleticism of individuals, the ball, the clubs, how that has changed golf so
Oh.
much because you've got courses who have had to make changes to their course just to make it so that
But they changed the Masters, the course there, the Masters.
yeah,
They changed that to slow Tiger Woods down. He was hitting the ball so far, further than anybody, so they made it longer and a little more tricks to it and stuff. He ended up winning by a bigger score the next year.
oh sure, and part of that is when they because of the fact that Tiger Woods and folks like him who were hitting the ball so far. It's because of a lot of it is because of the equipment. They were taking holes that would be par 5 holes.
Right, making it 4 easily, maybe 3 or 4, 5, 3 or 4.
Yeah, and making eagles, which would be
Right.
a three shots instead of 5. So they had to lengthen the course itself, the hole
Right,
itself.
right.
They would move the tees back.
But the
They'd
Shambo,
also put sand traps, and
they even
rough
made new kind of sand traps like they have over in Europe. Those
pothole.
potholes. But the Shambo, he's got to learn how to putt.
Yeah,
I mean, he gets the ball up on the green, but he's got to learn how to putt. I loved Jack Nicklaus as a kid, and I loved
Arnold Palmer.
Arnold. Well,
I loved
look,
Arnold Palmer.
I love Lee Trevino because I
Lee was
thought
great too.
I loved the stories about Lee Trevino and stuff, and I loved hearing about what he would say and stuff on the courses and stuff, and I loved golf, and I still watch all the majors. I watch them all.
Me too.
But the Shambo, I want him to do well. I really do. But and is Tiger Woods ever going to catch Jack Nicklaus? I don't think so.
I don't
because
think
of
so.
I think if his feet were crushed, we're not talking about broken bones. We're talking about crushed. That's the word the doctors used. Crushed.
Yeah.
He crushed his feet. That's going to be hard to come. How are you going to stand up and hit a golf?
Well, he's got a lot of pins, in his,
Yeah.
his ankle and his feet now, and the ankle and of course he had back problems to begin with.
Right.
So I think it's going to be very difficult for Tiger to come back and play at a really competitive.
And I hope he does.
Oh, me too. I hope he does too.
But I did love Jack Nicklaus. I thought he was a good guy for the game. I thought Tiger was a good guy for the game. I mean, being the first African American to win that many titles and he wasn't a bad guy. He was a pretty good guy.
Oh yeah, he was a fantastic. You know, he used to travel home on the week immediately after the tournament to immediately be with his kids.
Right.
He would even do it during the tournament.
Do you remember
At
seeing him
nighttime.
on Johnny Carson's show? The
Yes.
first time I remember seeing him when I was a kid. Saw how Tiger was. He was like about, I don't know, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7.
Yeah.
And they had him hitting against the wall and putting and stuff.
Yeah. And let's talk more about that after the break.
People that have mental illness are not weak. They're the strongest people I know because we've had to endure so much.
Yes. So my buddy Dwayne, man.
Yep. We, we were talking about golf, and one of the things about the clubs the clubs are so different now than what they used to be.
Right.
The shafts have changed from a steel shaft to a graphite to a composite shaft.
Okay, I'll tell you
Plus-
this though. Let me tell you this. I had a huge car wreck. Turned over, and I had one of those big McDonald's Big Mac things up on top of the roof. You know, it looked like a Big Mac box. My clubs were in there, smashed them all, broke them all. I got insurance. I got enough money. It was incredible. I got graphite shafts, handmade.
Ooh.
I was never as good a golfer. I played the worst golf I ever played.
Really?
I couldn't. I was swinging so hard that the club was still back in the back, and when I come through, it go to the right or way left or something, and
I
it
thought
hurt.
you always played that way.
It hurt me, man. I
Well,
mean,
I bet it did.
it hurt. I knew I was going to start the best game of golf I ever started with. I think it was against you. I shot 3 under par for the first 2 holes.
Oh, great.
Shot an eagle
I
the
remember
first
that.
hole, and the next hole I got a birdie. And I go, Dwayne, I'm 3 under par. I'm 3 under par.
Boy, you felt
Well,
good, didn't you?
Yeah, then I had to play that next hole.
Yeah, I
And
know.
all of a
that-
sudden I was par.
That's pretty bad.
You know,
But one of the things they're doing with clubs nowadays is they're distributing weight in the heads of the club,
Right.
which gives it a more true striking area. So it's just incredible what they've done. Golf balls. You mentioned golf balls haven't been able to be soft. Golf balls used to be tightly wound rubber bands, and now they're solid core balls.
I remember a ball called the Bullet. The Bullet.
Yeah.
The longest ball in golf.
Oh yeah.
And he bought them. It was like $6 for 3 of them. And I go, I want to hit a long ball sometime. You know,
Yeah.
just one long ball. And
You
I got
always,
that
you
ball
always
out
look
there.
for that ball that was going to make you the best golfer there
Right.
was.
If a golf ball said another 20 feet, I wanted that
That
golf
ball.
ball. If the club said it has 20 yards to your game, I want that golf club. So I went up there, hit that first ball. I went so far to the right. They were right. I couldn't even find the ball.
Yeah, it went farther, all right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Into somebody else's pocket.
they even went about changing the designs of the golf ball, where they changed the dimples design on the golf ball. And there's a golf ball called the Titleist Pro 5.
Exactly.
And what it does, it causes the ball to go farther or faster and with fewer rotation spins on it.
Wow.
So it's an amazing.
that would
golf
cut
ball.
down. That would cut down slicing and hooking if it slows the rotations down.
Well, it would help mine because, I've had occasions where my golf club would go farther than the ball.
I remember those days.
Yeah, there's still some out in the woods
Yes.
down at Old Shady Acres.
Were you?
so-
It was Jeff Puryear's the one that threw the ball at the club and he got stuck in the tree
yeah.
at Siler's.
Yeah.
It actually got stuck in the tree. We go by there every couple of days to just laugh and laugh.
Well, when I was a
Jeff
kid,
was
I
a-
used to go to Siler's. We lived on Plainview Road, and so we used to go to Siler's and collect golf balls out of the pond.
Yeah, I lived over on the north side of town. I lived right behind Greenwood. What is that called? Greenwood, the golf course out there. Green Lawn. Green Lawn. I lived in a motel. My mom and dad ran the restaurant in the motel, and I'd go out there to find golf balls. I'd take them over there and sell them back to the pro shop. Get 50 cents or a quarter a piece.
Good
Back
money
then,
back
that was
then.
good money.
Oh
man.
yeah, good money. 5 minutes.
But I do listen. I'm a Cub fan to the bottom of my heart. But Yadier Molina, have a happy birthday, buddy, because you have just hurt me so many times, man. I remember watching you play a game against the Cubs, and you got a hit in the last inning, and it was a tied score, and we were in St. Louis, and you got a hit. We're on first base. Well, you were a catcher. You don't steal bases. And the first pitch, you stole second base. And
Yeah,
I
he's
just got up.
a sneaky base stealer.
I just got up and started walking off the field.
I've
'Cause
seen
I
him.
knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, I've seen him steal second base many times where he's taken that walking lead and that pitcher looked back there. And about the time that pitcher turns his head to throw that pitch, Yachty's off.
The friend I was with, he goes, "Where are you going?" I go, "The game's over." He goes, "It's not over." I go, "It's over." And sure enough, the next hitter hit a base hit. He scored from second base, and that was it. It was just, and the thing was, I loved him for that because he played baseball the way baseball should be played.
And
He
still does.
stole second. He has got the heart of a lion.
Oh, he's a great guy.
I love watching him play, and
You know, we've talked about the changes in equipment in tennis, in golf, baseball, football. We need to talk football.
well, except for Brady taking air out of the football.
Well, now wait a second. Now
Our engineer here is a big Brady fan, and
I know you're
Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time
in this era.
in this era. But does this era go into Bradshaw's era?
I'm really a Pats fan.
You're a Pats fan,
Oh,
okay?
Pats fan.
I
Okay.
do like Brady.
Well, you have
Not
to.
the Pats, but I still root for the Pats.
Well, there
See,
you go. That's all right.
I'm a Steelers fan, and I love Bradshaw. I loved him. The first play I ever saw Bradshaw do anything that I ever paid attention was we came back from playing football, and I was so tired, so beat up. We played tackle football, no pads,
All the time.
and I saw Bradshaw throw the immaculate reception. That's the first play I ever saw him throw anything.
Is that a Catholic play?
You know, yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody gets up and goes have a beer. So it was just a great for me because it was against the Raiders. And I mean, it was fantastic. Beating the Raiders, anybody beating the Raiders made us happy in Springfield.
Okay, I want you to imagine.
Yes.
Let's say that today, let's say J.J. Watts, great
Yes.
defensive player,
Yes.
is playing football in the 1930s. He
Right.
has on a leather helmet.
Right.
He has on no padding whatsoever.
Well, he had padding, but it
Well,
wasn't
padding, very limited padding.
Right.
And he's going in to tackle some of these quarterbacks that
Right.
exist today.
Do you think he could do any damage? Yes.
He could
Yes.
do damage, but he might damage himself too.
That's true, but I don't think J.J. Watts will worry about that.
No, probably wouldn't because he's a pretty
He's a
volatile
great
football
ball
player.
player.
But helmets have evolved to where,
Everything has. We got 1 minute left, big man.
well, I got to say this. I did a little research, and this is for my friends of Tom Brady. Today's football is 11 inches long, is 28 inches around the center diameter,
Thank you.
and you're welcome. So, but here's what Tom Brady friends need to know. The ball is 14 to 15 ounces
Right.
in weight.
Unless Tom's playing, then it's about 11 and a half.
I think it might be getting pretty close to that time when we just say, it's your call.
It's no. You know something? It's your call. It's time to wrap this up.
Oh, it's your call?
Yes, you're out.
You're out? Oh, no. Hey, Hey, batter.
Swing.
All right, let's get out
Thanks,
of here.
guys.
Let's throw in the towel.
We should give it to